Hey friends, it's Elizabeth here from the Everyday Storyteller, and in this video I am working on week 23, which was last week, in my 8x10 Our Yearbook photo book. So this is a digital photo book that I'm creating for the year of 2022, and right now I am using the templates that I currently have in my shop. This template that you see here is available in the Our Yearbook Digital Template Starter Pack, which is in my shop currently. I will have a link to it down below. And I am working with the full spread Photoshop template. So that means that both sides of the 8x10 layout are on one canvas. In that starter pack, you'll also have the ability to do the left side and the right side separately, but I like to have them both on one canvas. I think it makes it so that my spreads are a little bit more cohesive. And as you can see for this layout, I am choosing the grid style for the left. You'll see that I toggled the horizontal option for that middle row instead of the two verticals, and then the bordered full page for the right, which is where I'm adding that photo, the large photo of the path. But you will also see that I am just going to be using that as kind of a guide for a different style grid that I'm going to do here in a second. And another thing that I've gotten into the habit of doing just to make my spreads a little bit more cohesive is just using one kit. So for this week, I'm going to be using the June 2022 Stories by the Month kit by Ali Edwards. I loved the bright colors and the emphasis on sun and summer, which worked really well with what we did this week. So as you can see, I dragged and dropped a couple of the journaling cards onto the left side, and then I'm going to work on the right side grid. So the style of grid that I am creating for the right side of my page is not included in the digital starter pack, but if it's something that you would like to see, just comment down below and I will definitely add some more templates to use in the 8x10 photo book size in my shop. So if you would like that, just definitely comment below and let me know. As you can see, I ended up with a template that has 6 small squares and then a horizontal 4x6 style. It's larger than 4x6, but that type of style photo in the middle there. And I am just adding some of our photos from our various walks throughout the week to those small squares. This was a really fun week. We spent a lot of time outside enjoying the warmer weather and the flowers and everything like that. As you can see, I have a photo of my daughter with daisies in her hair from daisies that we found on our walk. And it was just a really, really fun week. So I'm glad to have it documented. And since it was not too long ago, since it was just last week, I have a lot of little memories that I remembered, a lot more than if you do it a couple of weeks down the road. So as you can see, I recolored those frames up on the top left corner just to add a little bit more white space. I really like to journal on white, so I just use the paint bucket tool to paint or to fill in that middle space of each one of those frames in white. And I'm just going to fiddle around with some of my journaling cards. I add the Sunburst journaling card to the right side of my page, and then I'm going to add that For the Love of June card to the 3x4 on the left. And actually, that particular journaling card is a 4x6 in Allie's kit, but if you resize it, it fits perfectly inside of a 3x4. So that's something really fun. I love to use journaling cards in different sizes than the ones that they're naturally intended to. That's one of the beauties of digital scrapbooking. So as you can see, I am adding journaling inside of those frames. I love that those frames gave me a chance to tell 4 short stories in just one 4x6 style card. And then I also add journaling to the This Happened June Stuff card, and that was a bit of a longer story. So I had plenty of room there to fill all of that in. And I am also going to add little bits of journaling to those sunbursts on the right side as well. Obviously, they were smaller than the 3x4 size. They were around 2x2, so my journaling was a phrase or a sentence, but it definitely gets the point across. I believe that stories can be both big and small, so anywhere that I can add more words is always a good thing. And as always, the last thing that I do when I'm finishing up my layout is just add embellishments, digital stamps, and things like that. I really wanted to add this quote to the photo of the daisies, but the colors just didn't work. There was so much text and it ended up covering a lot of the flowers, and I couldn't really find a color that I liked that stood out but yet didn't obscure the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and head into my Google Drive, which is where all of my digital story kits live, and I am going to search for a previous June kit of Allie's, and I found this digital stamp that said Backyard Adventures, and I also downloaded the Days Look Like This, which I believe is also from that same digital stamp from 2017, I think. And I'm going to download both of those, but I end up going with this Backyard Adventures digital stamp, and I recolored it white and added it to the photo of the daisies. I really love the way that that looks. I don't use digital stamps as often as I should, but I am trying to get better at adding those into my layouts. And the last thing that you'll see me do to complete this spread is just switch out that 1 3x4 card. If you remember, that used to say for the love of June, but I switched it out to include the background of the sunburst card, and then I just added a digital chipboard to cover up the actual sunburst part and added my date to that, and that is this particular spread complete. This is only half the week, so I am going to show you the second layout that I did for the rest of the week coming up in a second. So I always like to start fresh for each new spread. So I opened up my template again, and I am just going to be using the grid for both sides of my layout. The first thing that I always do is add photos, so you're going to see that here. Things do change. I love adding a series of photos, so I wanted to add all 3 of those photos of my daughter waiting for her daddy in the car, but I do end up changing the size of those photos that you're going to see here in a second. For my journaling cards, I decided to reuse some of the ones that I had used in the previous spread, since this is the same week that I'm documenting. And I especially loved that frame 4x6. So I'm actually going to separate those 4 frames into individual layers just by using the rectangular marquee tool to make a rectangle around each one of those colors, right-clicking on that rectangle, and then choosing layer via copy. And that leaves me with 4 individual frames that I can work on, and I'm going to add all 4 of those into a vertical spot and add journaling to them. So as you can see, I am using the transform scale tool to make sure that those frames fit inside of my vertical rectangle. These are about the size of a 3x4, a tad bit smaller than that. And I actually used the non-proportional scale tool so that I could scale the frame exactly the way that I wanted it to look. So you don't want to use the non-proportional scale if you have any words, because it will distort your words. But for something like this where it was very graphic and already kind of artsy looking, it's fine if you scale things non-proportionally. In most cases, you will want to keep the lock on the proportion on. And similar to what I did on the last spread, I am going to use the paint bucket tool to recolor the middle of those frames to white, just so that I can be journaling on some white space. And it also provides some consistency from spread to spread. You can see my process for scaling those frames a little bit more as I do that to all 4 of them. And then I'm going to go over to my series of photos. So for this part, I'm actually going to use the middle alternate option over there on the layers panel. All you have to do is unclick the middle 1 and middle 2 rectangle boxes, and then click on the middle alternate, and you will get a 4x6 3x4 style in that middle row. And I am going to be adding all 3 of my photos to that one faux 4x6 spot. And that leaves me one more vertical pocket to add my journaling inside. So that is what you're going to see me do right now with one of the pink frames. I'm following the same process as before. I am just scaling it unproportionally to make it fit inside as best as I can, and then recoloring the middle part of the frame white. And now I'm just choosing a background for my series of photos of my daughter. The journaling card that I end up choosing to back those photos is one that had words on it. And if you look really closely, you can actually see that there are words peeking out between those photos of my daughter. I do cover up the little swash that you can see down below the series of pictures so that I can add a digital stamp. But I end up leaving the words that you can see in between the photos because this layout took me a lot more time than I wanted it to. So I just chose to leave some of the little details, and maybe that would bother you, but at this point it doesn't bother me. So I'm gonna go on to embellishing my spread. I really wanted to use these conversation speech bubbles, especially for that photo of my dog over on the bottom left. She looked so annoyed in that picture, but the idea of adding speech bubbles around the entire spread, I didn't really love that. So I am just going to add the speech bubble on the photo of my dog, and I'm going to pick a different embellishment for the rest of my journaling cards. So here I have a digital stamp that I recolored to match the green of the June title card that says here are the details. I believe that might be from the 2022 Week in the Life digital stamps, but I'm not quite sure. I know I am using the Week in the Life digital phrases for an embellishment for my journaling cards. So I am actually going to put one of those phrases on each one of those 4 frames. I love the way that they give them a little bit of a pop, and also the addition of the black is really nice when there are so many fun colors and a couple of black and white photos. So that is what I'm doing now. And I'm also going to add one of those to my title card. I add the sentiment memories I will always remember to the title card, and then I slightly edit a smaller version of that same phrase sticker to add in my date. And with that, week 23 is documented. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and a closer look at how I create these digital layouts. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.